I received a text message from my sister in Christ, Yvette. And she said to me in summary, even though you have a lot going on, I salute you for giving God a yes. And because of that, it's the backstory to my message. So, today, say yes. Having that yes faith. Trusting the process in spite of. So often in life we get caught up and consumed with our everyday happenings, which includes the ups and downs and twists and turns of life. And we neglect to acknowledge the only reason we are even experiencing those things is because of God's grace and His mercy. He allowed us to witness another day. We get so busy that we forget sometimes to say yes. Now I want y'all to hold on to that part. We forget sometimes to say yes. So today I want to look at 3 familiar stories in the Bible. The first, the story of Abraham and Isaac. The second, Moses and the Red Sea. And the third, the woman with the issue of blood. Now, I'm not going to be reading the stories in their entirety. I'm going to be highlighting a few scriptures throughout. And so just bear with me. So first, we're going to go to the story of Abraham and Isaac. You can find it in Genesis, the 22nd chapter. If you're not knowledgeable of the story, Genesis, the 22nd chapter. And I'm going to start at verse 1, from verse 1 through 3. This is the, I believe, the New Century Version that I'll be reading from. And it says, after these things, God tested Abraham's faith. God said to him, Abraham, and he answered, here I am. Then God said, take your only son Isaac, the son you love, and go to the land of Moriah. Kill him there and offer him as a whole burnt offering on one of the mountains I will tell you about. And so as the story goes on, Abraham got up and he gathered his son, his donkey, and his servants, and they went on the journey. All right, and I'm going to skip down here to verse 7. And it says, Isaac said to his father, Abraham, Father. And Abraham answered, yes, my son. Isaac said, we have the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb we will burn as a sacrifice? Abraham answered, God will give us the lamb for the sacrifice, my son. So Abraham and his son went on together and came to the place God had told him about. Abraham built an altar there. He laid the wood on it, and then tied his son Isaac and laid him on the wood of the altar. Then Abraham took his knife and was about to kill his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And Abraham answered, yes. The angel said, don't kill your son or hurt him in any way. Now I can see that you trust God and that you have not kept your son, your only son, from me. Then Abraham looked up and saw the male sheep, caught it in the bush by its horns. So Abraham went and took the sheep and killed it. He offered it as a whole burnt offering to God, and his son was saved. So Abraham named the place, the Lord provides. Even today people say, oh, the mountain of the Lord, it will provide. Now, as we see here, we know that Abraham went forth, right? Because as he was commanded to do, and because of his yes, questions because, you know, that was his son, his only son. And, you know, he might have wanted to say, Lord, is it anything else? But he said yes. Somebody say yes.
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 He said yes. And with that, now we know God tested Abraham, and Abraham trusted that process. And because of his yes faith, he was blessed of God. We're going to now look at Moses and the Red Sea. I'm going to start in Exodus chapter 14, starting with verse 4. Sorry, this record is really small. Alright, and it reads, I will make the king stubborn again, so he will chase after them. But I will defeat the king and his army. This will bring honor to me, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. The Israelites did just as they were told. When the king of Egypt was told that the Israelites had left, he and his officers changed their mind about them. They said, what have we done? We have let the Israelites leave. We have lost our slaves. So the king prepared his war chariots and took his army with them. He took 600 of his best chariots, together with all the other chariots of Egypt, each with an officer in it. All right, and so then I'm going to jump down. All right, and then in verse 10, it says, when the Israelites saw the king and his army coming after them, they were very frightened and cried to the Lord for help. They said to Moses, what have you done to us? Why did you bring us out of Egypt to die in the desert? There were plenty of graves for us in Egypt. We told you in Egypt, let us alone. We will stay and serve the Egyptians. Now we will die in the desert. But Moses answered, don't be afraid. Stand still and you will see the Lord save you today. You will never see the Egyptians again after today. You only need to remain calm. The Lord will fight for you. Then the Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Command the Israelites to start moving. Raise your walking stick and hold it over the sea, so that the sea will split and the people can cross it on dry land. I will make the Egyptians stubborn so they will chase the Israelites, but I will be honored when I defeat the king and all his chariot drivers and chariot. Verse 21, then Moses held his hand over the sea. All that night the Lord drove back the sea with a strong east wind, making the sea become dry ground. The water was split, and the Israelites went through the sea and on dry land, and with a wall of water on their right and their left. 27. So Moses raised his head over the sea, and at dawn the sea returned to its place. The Egyptians tried to run from it, but the Lord swept them away into the sea. The waters returned, covering the chariot drivers of all the king's army that had followed the Israelites into the sea. Not one of them survived. But the Israelites crossed the sea on dry land, with a wall of water on their right and their left. So the day of the Lord saved the Israelites from the Egyptians, and the Israelites saw the Egyptians lying dead on the shoreline. And so when we take a look at this story, we see here that Moses was given a task, and he was to go into the land of Egypt, and he was to gather the children of Israel to flee the land. They had some uncertainties. They really didn't have the end result of the process. What was the plan? But look here again, that yes, faith. By trusting the process, it brought forth their deliverance. Lastly, we're going to look at the woman with the issue of blood. All right, so we're going to turn to Matthew chapter 9, starting with verse 20 through 22. This is also referenced twice again in Mark, the 5th chapter, and Luke, the 8th chapter. All right, so verse 20. Then the woman who had been bleeding for 12 years came behind Jesus and touched the edge of his coat. She was thinking, if I can just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Jesus turned and saw the woman and said, be encouraged, dear woman. You are made well because you believe. And the woman was healed from that moment on. It was her yes faith that brought her healing. She wasn't for certain, but she believed that if she did, that was possible. And it truly became possible. So let's think about these three different scenarios. What if they didn't trust the process? What if they never said yes? So I told you earlier to hold on to that, and we're going to tie this all together. So, what if they never said yes? Often we can get caught up, busy, and lose track and forget to say yes. Well, your reassurance, your comfort, your breakthrough, your deliverance, your healing, your peace of mind, your testimony is only a yes away.
Amen.
So even though we go through the woes of life, and Lord knows I've had some trying times, but I'm so glad that I told God yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Because in my yes, I felt my breakthrough. Woo, Jesus, in my yes, I felt my peace. In my yes, woo, I got my reassurance. When you look at Abraham and Isaac, knowing that God provides gave him comfort. He got his comfort and his peace of mind that he did not have to sacrifice his son because he said yes. When you look at Moses and the Israelites as they came to the waters and they really did not know what was going to happen, but because of that yes faith and trusting the process, he allowed the waters to raise and they walked on dry land to their deliverance. And when you look at the woman with the issue of blood, 12 years, and she said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, and it brought forth her healing. So with your yes faith, that yes faith, you don't have to know the end result, but if you trust the process.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
If you trust the process. So, difficult roads often lead to beautiful destinations. So when you are faced with the roadblocks of life, when they come, just stay the course. Keep the faith. Say yes. Trust the process and watch God work it out. It's his plan anyway. It's his plan anyway. All you have to do is say yes. Have a lot of yes faith.
Thank you so much for joining us today on YouTube. Subscribe to our page to receive alerts. If you would like to be a blessing to this ministry, you can do so using Givelify. Download the app and tap, give, and done. Look for New Horizon Outreach Ministries at 1575 Cary Avenue, Norfolk, Virginia 23502. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a blessed day.